Donald Trump made another stop in Wisconsin this week, and students at UW-Milwaukee and UW-Madison continue their protests against the war in Gaza. CBS 58's Emilee Fannon, WisPolitics editor J.R. Ross discussed this week's big political stories in tonight's Capitol Connection.
We begin this week with former President Donald Trump, who was back in the battleground state and held a pair of rallies here in Waukesha, but also in Michigan, which are two crucial states that he's trying to win, of course, in this election. Now, he came to Wisconsin during his day off from the criminal trial, which has largely kept him unable to campaign for many weeks now. But let's talk about the issues that he brought up. I mean, of course, the economy, immigration, abortion, but he also got into some of the campus protests we're seeing nationwide and here on college campuses in Wisconsin, and talked a little bit about one-day voting. But let's first start with abortion, because of course Democrats are hitting this issue very, very hard. They believe it could be the winning issue again for them. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has been kind of walking a tightrope on this issue because he's trying to be a little careful of how he addresses it.
Yeah, and the key is the backdrop of which it comes against, which is in Time magazine this week there was an interview with Trump which suggested he would allow states to monitor women's pregnancies to see if they violate abortion bans. There's talk of a national abortion ban if he's elected this fall. So he's doing this dance where he's trying to not go that far with swing voters because they're not happy about those kinds of things, but also get the base happy. So you watch his speech. It was a 4-minute answer in which his message was, look, I got the issue back to the states, which a year ago he said he killed Roe v. Wade essentially. I get it back to the states where everybody wanted it, he says. But look, sometimes you have to follow your heart, do what's right, but you also have to get elected. And the message there is, look, anti-abortion activists, you're going to hear me for the next couple of months dance on this topic a little bit, but stay with me, because if I get elected, very bad things will happen.
Right. Another interesting topic that he almost didn't bring up, but it was at the very end of his speech, is that he once again falsely claimed that he won Wisconsin. We know there's plenty of reviews and audits that say otherwise, that there was no widespread fraud. But this comes as he also said, I want one-day voting by paper ballot. This is completely contrast to what we hear from state and national Republicans who are really trying to push early voting. So you hear, once again, conflicting messages on this issue. And reporters also talked to Brian Schimmon, he's the chairman of the Republican Party, before the speech, and he said, we're working on that. We're talking to the Trump campaign. We're continuously trying to get that message out. I think we'll have to see what those numbers are come November. Now, another issue was, of course, the campus protests that have been going around, and it's also right here in our backyard at UW-Madison and UW-Milwaukee. Now, we know that police interrupted the protests and tore down some tents on Wednesday, on UW-Madison's campus, but the tents were right back up. So this is kind of our looking ahead topic, JR, because this is the big question going forward, is how long these are going to last, and will police step in again? And
Republicans are enjoying this moment, quite frankly, because look, when Joe Biden ran in 2020, he promised a return to normalcy. There was chaos in the Trump presidency. I'll bring back peace, order, calm, normalcy. The more chaos you have, the more Republicans say, look, that was a false promise. It also minimizes the chaos of the Trump presidency, right? We're kind of like careening back and forth from tweet to tweet for 4 years with Donald Trump. They can say, look, it wasn't that bad. Look what's happening now with these campuses. Joe Biden's not strong enough. They're going to argue to bring back law and order to get control of these campuses. This is good for Republicans in a lot of ways. Now, looking ahead a little more, college is over in a few weeks. Right. So what will happen? Will they all go home and kind of peacefully protest back home? Or are we going to have more control on campuses now and also this fall that things continue in Israel? Right.
There's finals. There's graduation right around the corner. That's next weekend for many, many students. And, some students that I talk to are not part of these pro-Palestinian protests. That is their concern. You're watching other college campuses delay graduation or not have graduation at all. And what's really unfortunate for a lot of these students is they were the COVID era. So they didn't even have the high school graduation either. So that's just something from the other point of view of how some are just upset that this keeps happening on campus. Also worth noting, too, encampments are illegal on college campuses here in Wisconsin, the UW system. So, all right, well, that will do it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us.